Hey, welcome everyone. We're so happy to see you this evening. We welcome you to our Adopt a County volunteer workshop, where we're going to learn about conducting online research and processing photos. My name is Dr. Andrea Roberts, and I'm, of course, the founder and director of the Texas Freedom Colonies Project and leader of our team of researchers. As many of you might already know, the Texas Freedom Colonies Project is an educational social justice initiative dedicated to preservation of Black settlement landscapes, heritage, and grassroots practices through our participatory research. So we do three things as Texas Freedom Colonies Project. We connect and collect. We connect with descendants and collect placemaking and placekeeping stories and histories. We countermap and secure data about places from varied sources. And we leverage those relationships and that data to co-create engaged applied research to address the challenges to freedom colony preservation. And just as a quick reminder, as we know, we all are concerned about the future of historic Black settlements, but it's worth noting that they go by several different names: freedmen's settlements, Black settlements, freedom colonies, freedmen's towns, but they're all intentional historic Black communities founded between 1865 to 1930. They exist around the United States. However, in Texas, there are as many as 557, 432 of which our research team has verified in partnership with descendants and volunteers like yourselves. You'll note here at the bottom a citation, and we invite you to share it with others when asked, what is a freedom colony? The Texas State Historical Association Handbook of Texas Online has available a freedmen settlements entry, which we have also had members of our team help co-author with that sitting. Now, we are really preoccupied this evening with a lot of virtual tools and information, and that's for good reason. As many of you might already know, the Texas Freedom Colonies Project will be growing and expanding. While we'll retain an affiliation with several researchers and partners in Texas, I will be relocating to the University of Virginia, which will give me a unique opportunity to do comparative study and also to expand the reach of the Texas Freedom Colonies Project. What you see here is a model for how our engagement will change and our relationships with you, the public, will change. So starting around June 11th, you'll see a reduction in our availability, and then a serious reduction July 2nd through 16th. Every year, I give the team time to recharge. So while they'll still be working, they will not be doing what we call public-facing work. July 16th to August 1st, we'll begin working again, but we'll be at a reduced capacity as well, and really focusing on how it is we help you become our eyes, ears, and arms, our ambassadors. So we'll be preparing a lot of material to make sure we continue our work even while we're in this transition period. And then we'll largely be in a hiatus. You see the number 5%, and what that indicates is our work as a team will go down to around 5%. However, we're hoping that we can look to you to help with the other 95%. And that's what our work with Adopt a County is really all about. Next. To learn more about Adopt a County, I'm going to hand you over to Natalie France, the Assistant Director of the Texas Freedom Colonies Project. Natalie?
Hi, everyone. I'm glad you could join us this evening. For those of you who are seasoned Adopt a County volunteers, this may be repetitive, but for those of you who may be just joining us for the first time or interested in becoming a volunteer, I hope this will be a helpful review. So what is Adopt a County? Adopt a County is a program for sustained volunteer research. It's also a community of practice dedicated to locating freedom colonies and information about freedom colonies, both ones that we have some information for and ones that we have yet to be informed about. So the goals of the program are to add that missing information to the atlas, to locate new places that we didn't know about before, to enrich that information with freedom colony origin stories, to help build a community of practice with you all by sharing research resources and techniques, and to identify and support that network of descendant leaders. This is a snapshot of Adopt a County dashboard, and it's actually out of date already from a few days ago. The atlas is always growing and changing in its information. But this shows on the left-hand side the totals of places that we've located, in blue, places that need more research in green, and in gray is that number of places that we have some information about, but we have not located it. And those are really the places that we'd like volunteers to focus on if they can, if they need a place to start, to make sure that we have an accurate representation of Freedom Colonies across the state. These are counties where we need more information. This list of top 10 counties means that as a percentage of the total Freedom Colonies within them, the highest percentage is either needs more research or has yet to be located. Those counties that are listed in pink are ones where we only have one or no volunteers yet. So if you're looking to adopt a county and you're not sure which one to adopt, we have some ideas for you from among this list. What do we mean when we say we've located a place? There's really three basic things we want to verify. Did it exist? Was there a community there? Does it have an African American association? And we want to affirm a location. And we have an adopted county intranet. That's a system for being able to store and share pending research with fellow volunteers and to keep things safely. And to talk about that and how it works, I'm going to invite Ben Davis from Brazos Archival to share with you all.
Hello, everyone. How are you? I just want to introduce you to this tool that we've put together to help you collect and describe your valuable materials. And to do that, I would like to introduce you to Fred Mcrae, who's going to talk a little bit about that.
Hello, I'm Fred Mcrae, and I'm a descendant of the Dixie Freedom Colony, located in Jasper County, Texas. We're standing in front of the Neely Grove Methodist Church that I was a member of back in the late 50s, 1950s, I believe it was. Yeah, I was about 12 years old when I joined this church. I would love to see this church restored. I started researching Freedom Colonies in about 2015. When we were able to purchase back into the community the old elementary school that I attended. When I started doing my research, I found out that in about 1853, Joshua Seal came to Texas with a number of enslaved persons. One of the persons that he had taken favor in was Richard Uncle Dick Seal. Well, Joshua Seal had taken favor with Richard Seal. And he helped him to build a church, the Dixie Missionary Baptist Church, which is the oldest church built by formerly enslaved persons west of the Mississippi. That church is still viable and doing well. A lot of them do. Yeah, this is probably everybody in this particular community are somewhat descendants of the original formerly enslaved persons. Yeah, that's probably true. A number of them have moved away, but a lot of them come back to the cemetery homecomings and things of this nature. And a lot of the family reunions now are being held in our facility here. That was formerly the old gymnasium of the G.W. Carver Elementary School complex. To begin using your Adopt a County workspace, first, go to the address bar in your web browser. Chrome is the preferred browser. Type in drive.google.com. Next, click the button that says Go to Drive. Then, click the button that says Add another account. Otherwise, simply enter the email address provided by the Texas Freedom Colonies Project. Next, enter your password. You have now successfully logged in.
Okay, so now that we've seen Fred demonstrate that, we should probably walk through it ourselves. And I just want to reiterate, in order to get set up to start using this tool, you should contact Natalie and return the form to her. But basically, the first thing that you need to do once you're up and running, corresponded with Natalie, is to open a tab in your web browser. And Chrome is the preferred browser because this is built on a Google platform. And you want to basically just go to the address bar in your web browser and type in drive.google.com. And it might be handy to bookmark that since you have a button below. But you can always just type this address, drive.google.com. That will take you to this page here that shows you basically an entry for Google Drive. You're going to click Go to Drive. And once you've corresponded with Natalie, you will be given an email address and a password to sign in. So in this case, we're going to sign into Brazos Valley. And once inside, you're going to be presented with this interface. It's there's really three things to know about that. Don't let kind of the visual organization be scare you or anything like that. On the left, you have a folder tree. When you get to folder, you can see the folder structure. In the top, you have a search bar. I strongly recommend using that. We have tried our best to index all of the files in here so that they're tied to it, meaning basically you can type anything here and it will come up for you. But once inside, you will see a folder for your county. Double click to go in there. And then once inside of there, you will see this folder that says media and has the initials for your county and a spreadsheet. And these two tools are the main way to access, operate, and use this tool. You have the spreadsheet and this folder full of files. The first thing we're going to do is open up this spreadsheet. This is where everything begins, is through this spreadsheet and then through the button. Come up here on the left. It says create, edit, records. And really, this is where we're trying to navigate to from the get-go. All the magic happens here in this button. And what we're trying to accomplish with this is to give you a safe space to store your files and your valuable information now that you've been collecting it. And the most valuable thing in terms of preservation and helping people use this and make meaning out of it is the information and the knowledge that you have to offer about what you're uploading. I can't emphasize enough just how important it is that you take the time to describe who's in a photograph that you might upload, or describe any information about a letter or a document that you choose to upload. It's really how this becomes preserved and usable long term. So first thing I'm going to demonstrate is how to upload a file from your computer to this system, just straight from there. So you click this button. Once inside the spreadsheet, it says create, edit files. And from here, anywhere you click in here, it's going to turn these sections red that are required, that you must enter. So once you've satisfied them, they will turn back. The red will go off. But the first thing you see there is file title. And what you're doing here in essence is describing one file that you're uploading one at a time. So this first section gives you a chance to describe in any manner that you choose anything that's going to help you remember it, or how to describe this file. So we will say, for the sake of this demonstration, old house. Or the old house. But we'll try old house. So here the point is you get to be as descriptive as possible. And you need to associate this file also with a freedom file. So if one exists, it'll come down and you'll see a drop down. And you can add it to one that already exists. If there's one that's not on the list that you think you would like to contribute, you can also type that in here. For the sake of this, we'll go through a existing colony. And also, you have a chance here in the description to describe in long form, in other words, like a story or anything you want associated with that file. It will say, this is where and then you can create you can set a date, and this is the date that the file or the document that you're uploading was actually created. So if it's a family photograph, you would want to try the date when it was that photograph was created, possibly that. Then we need to select the location of where the freedom colony might be associated. So first choose a county, and that automatically narrows down the town. If you want to select another county, you can. And that will give you another set of counties. And then any kind of long form address description here, you can give address, or you can even say at the cross section of something descriptive. Say, let's say 333. And here's the section where you get to describe the subject matter of the file that you're uploading. This is really important. Like, for instance, if it's a family photograph, you want to describe people in that photograph. This is where we get to associate who is in the photograph. And that can be a really difficult thing, especially family photographs are especially difficult because it's hard to describe everything in a photograph. But this will give you that chance. So if you know somebody in the photograph, you can click add person, get their first name, last name, and if they have any nicknames, birth date, death date if they have one, and if they don't, you can just leave that blank. Say save. You can add as many people as you want. We'll log all of them. Similarly, if you want to log a feature like a house, you can record that information here as well. And now is where we attach the file to this information. So in this case, we're going to say from computers. We're going straight from the computer into this Google Drive tool. This dialog box, click choose file. So open and upload. And just a quick note about what how you upload, what file formats, and how to prepare your files. Family photographs are typically best uploaded in JPEG, .jpg, or .png when you're saving your files. But the system is built to handle anything. So if your typically documents are PDF or a Word file, so don't be afraid to upload any file format. And this will take care of the sizing for you. So if it's a really large file, this will compress it for you. If it's really small, it will upres it for you. But at the end of the day, now that you've done that, this file is now inside of Drive, but it's not finished yet. You have to click submit. So that file is now gone into this safe holding place. Now we click submit. And that was the process for uploading one file straight from the
So while this is uploading, Ben, thank you so much for the demonstration. Before we go into the Q&A, and while this is saving, I wonder if you could tell the audience, some of them may be wondering, you were just talking about the Atlas and uploading surveys, and now you're introducing this intranet, Dr. Roberts. What's the connection? What's the purpose of these two things? Why are you adding more stuff? What's the purpose? What's the relationship between getting a survey in the Atlas and this other system over here?
Absolutely. So this is a safe holding place for files and documents, and that's separate because each file and document, like a family photograph, for instance, really needs some descriptive information about it in order to be able to use it, and that is then connected to a Freedom Colony. And that is the reason is you want to be able to collect as much information about a Freedom Colony as possible, but you also want to be able to describe all the things within that Freedom Colony. So family photograph, we'll keep using that example. You want to be able to relate information to that so that other people might be able to make connections to it as well. So the more information we have, the more likely we are to make connections and help other people.
Great. And of course, we know that sometimes we'll sit down to our computer and we'll want to go ahead and complete the survey. Let's say we just interviewed someone and we took a photo of that person that we interviewed. We used the survey, we asked the questions, but maybe you want a separate space to work on your materials first and then take your time and add it to the Atlas. And so we wanted to create this so that you have a little bit of a safe workspace, and you could then have a holding pattern for it here, have all that material, have all that interesting, important information about those materials here, and take your time and then upload it to the Atlas using the survey. I also want to introduce at this time Christian. Christian, if you could make yourself visible and say hello. He's managing the Q&A. So we're encouraging you to put your questions in the Q&A box. Christian, you can explain this better than I can. Go ahead.
Well, that's basically it. If you put your questions into the Q&A box, we get a little readout over here of all of your questions so they don't get lost in the chat, and then we can answer them for you.
Great. And actually, there are no wrong questions, by the way. We are most interested in hearing from you and hearing your questions. We can repeat processes. We can go over this, more than once. We're just interested in hearing back from you. So any questions, please place them in the Q&A box. And there's a question. Christian, what's the question?
Question is, can we get a copy of the slides? Or is there a handout for this presentation?
That's a great question. Who asked that? Okay, thank you, Michelle, for that question. It is accessible to you as a video. So we're recording this evening so that we can upload it to YouTube and you can watch it anytime you like. As long as you want, you can repeat it, pause it, what have you. So this will be publicly available.
So I think it went through. I could jump back in there.
Yeah, please.
What then happens is you log a record in the spreadsheet, but I just want to reemphasize or let you know that the way that all of this information is recorded is by clicking on this button. So it's really not good if you type in the boxes. It does that all for you. So now you have a Google Drive link to this file, and to go back to our Drive interface, we have, again, the folder for media and the spreadsheet. Inside of the media folder is where that file will get uploaded. And this part is helpful to know which files you have and haven't worked on. The form renames the file for you according to the county, Freedom Colony, and the description that you put in the form. So this is the file that was uploaded. And it goes in here, and you can see Gloria Smith, this volunteer, has organized her files in folders, and you're welcome to do that as well. Just make sure that it's all inside the media folder. which kind of dovetails into the second way of getting information in here, which is in a batch way. So if you have lots and lots of files or folders that you want to get into the system and describe later, you're welcome to do that as well. You would, in order to do that, you would make sure that you're inside of the media folder. So again, if you're coming to it straight from the beginning, go into your accounting folder, and then inside the media folder. And then from there, you would drag and drop literally right onto this interface, anything that you want to go into the system. So I'll show you how to do that. So I've got these pictures here that I want to go in there. I'll just highlight them all, drag and drop them onto the interface, and all of a sudden they start uploading. And now what I can do, I can see that they're also named differently now that they're coming in. So it's JP Bridges and all these other names. So if they're not named like county and then Freedom Colony, that means that they're not processed yet. So in order to process them, you go back or describe them, you go back to the spreadsheet. So I'll jump over there, a new tab, I already had it open, so I jump to this new tab. And again, to start that whole process, click on this button that says Create Edit Records. And if you need help while you're here, you can click this Help tab, and there will be forthcoming video tutorials. And so again, here's the login video. There's a community archiving workshop that we did. And there will be written instructions up here. And on the web page, but not here yet, are research resources and facts, which you can also find on the Texas Freedom Colonies website. But it's just accessible here in this Help tab for you so that you don't have to go look for it somewhere else. So again, if I want to describe something that I just drug that whole batch of files into Drive, and they're all there. Now if I want to access them or describe them, I'll also go through this form, go through the same process. So you can see it's still red, so I still need to satisfy something. So this is a colony. Describe anything about it, add a date, when the resource was created, select which county it belongs to, town, and also if you want to reverse that and pick a town, it will pick the county for you. There's an address like that. This time it's a house. And sorry, I can pick what type of feature it is. So I select a feature and I can say, well, it's a church. And then down here, you can narrow what type of church it may have been. And if any nicknames were associated with that church. And this time, we're going to go to this button on the left. And again, this is the process of describing something that you dropped onto the Drive interface. So this is already in Drive, but you need to describe it and coming back to it. So we go to this left button, add file from Drive, click on that search bar. In here, you will see all those pictures that I just drug onto the interface. This one, click select. There's nothing else to do there. It will do it for you. And now that one note about that also is that it will not let you upload a file until you've described something about it. And that might be kind of aggravating during the process, but it's really important to be able to describe things before you get them in. So I'm going to click submit. That will log that through. So all the magic happens through the button that's inside of the spreadsheet in this form. and sometimes it takes a little bit. But it's more outside. So I hope this tool helps. Absolutely available for any questions or concerns. But again, this is a tool that was developed and put together to give you a safe space to archive and describe the valuable information that you have been collecting. And again, don't hesitate to reach out to Natalie if to get started with this.
Ben, can I lob you a softball question?
Sure.
This is Natalie, by the way.
Sure.
Do you have to fill in all the fields in order to create a record?
Not all of them, just the ones that are highlighted in red. And those are important because they are the way that the file gets named. So you can see right now, just clicking anywhere on the form will highlight these first two sections in red. And this lets you know that it says that it needs work up here. So this just lets you know that you won't be able to upload a file until those have been satisfied. So I just type something, anything in there. By the way, when you type something new, it logs that waiting, that circle we get is that's logging a new record. And then we'll pick a freedom colony. Once we've got a freedom colony a name, that section goes away. But we've still got some red here. We need to make that red go away. So in order to do that, we can type in town, for instance, first here. And say, oh, and by the way, on the towns, if there's no town, if it's in a rural area with the town not really associated with the freedom colony, there's this option that says balance of the county. Select that, and it'll select the county for you. And that is basically satisfies it. So we could, since this says complete, actually go ahead and upload it, because now we know where it is, and we've got some information, a description about that file here. But again, I want to reemphasize that taking this time to fill in the subject matter is really important, and it's a little bit structured just to kind of help discern what in the photograph you're talking about, if it's a photograph, or what in the document you're talking about. So, for instance, if it's a building, that'll help designate what you're talking about there. If it's a person, or it's an artifact, like a picture of an article of clothing, or a vase, or something like that. Likewise, if there's an event, or if it's a photograph of an event, you can describe what it is, and something about that, what took place there, and the traditions associated with it, and the dates associated with that event. And then now that all the red has been satisfied, we can go ahead and upload the file.
Hey, Ben, can I lob you another softball?
Yes.
Can I keep my research notes or PDFs of like scanned deed books or any other research materials in the drive?
Absolutely. That would be highly encouraged, yes. So we've only talked about it being a file upload system, which it is, but it's also a full like Office suite, meaning you get word processing, spreadsheets, and any of that. And there's an aspect of the interface that we didn't cover, but basically, in order to access any of that, you would select New. And if you want, in Google Docs, Drive, Docs is equivalent to Word, Sheets is equivalent to Spreadsheet, and those would be the two kind of main things to use. So if you want to, for instance, start a new document to keep notes, you can put Docs from that new plus sign right here, and you can title it anything you like here in this top left corner. It's the notes. Keep those notes. And say, see here that we now have a word processing file, a Google Doc called Notes. So Absolutely. Feel free to make notes and keep research. Create new thoughts.
Thank you, Beth.
Absolutely.
All right, I don't see any other intranet questions coming in through the chat. If anyone wants to raise your hand, we may be able to unmute you if you'd rather just ask it as a question. But
I did have another question for Ben. Let's say, Ben, you are a volunteer and you have another volunteer and you're both from, let's say, I don't know, Seguin. Just somewhere you're in a freedom colony near Seguin, and you two want to talk to each other while you're trying to do your work, meaning you're inside the intranet, and maybe you'd like to video chat while you're inside the intranet. Is that possible?
Absolutely. Sorry. Thank you for bringing that up. Within this tool, there is all of the capability to video chat, to text message with each other at no cost to you. So that's all built in. And within Google, that is called Hangouts, I think.
Google Hangout, yes. So if you're inside the intranet, and let's say you just wanted to spend an hour in the afternoon with a relative and say, hey, let's get together and organize these photos. And let's chat while we do it. Can you give us a glimpse of how we might be able to do that?
Absolutely. Thank you for reminding me of that. Yes, so you have a full suite of powerful tools like that are handy tools like that are come with it and are at no cost. So to access that, there's this grid of dots up here in the top right. So just to cover everything in the interface, again, we've got the search bar, the folder structure over here, and this new plus sign if you want to create new documents. But if you want to access what Dr. Roberts is talking about, you go to this grid of dots here in the top right, and you can see you get all of these different applications. So chat here would let you text message with someone, and Hangouts, Hangouts is that's a video application, or just like Zoom, and you can use it that way. And as far as a collaborative tool, I think we talked about Jamboard before, but I think it's probably more experimental right now. I've looked into it, and it's not quite as collaborative as I thought maybe. But that said, there are other apps you can use in here, like Keep, that will record notes for you. So you get the full suite of tools, but you don't have to pay anything for it.
There's also chat.
Yeah.
You have one from me.
All right. Thank you. Hello. All right. Yes, so we get a text messaging platform here. Pretty great. But I think we're looking for still a way to kind of collaboratively handle notes and research. So absolutely, I think that's probably more experimental. I've looked into Jamboard, and it's, to be honest, it's not as robust as I would like it for it to be before I advertise that. But yeah.
Well, this has been awesome. I'm sorry, any other comments and questions about that before we kind of go to some Q&A questions? Now, do know that, again, we are recording this. So if you're taking notes furiously and saying, oh no, I cannot remember these steps and I missed this part and that part, perfectly all right. We will have this video available, and we have our email address. You can contact Natalie or any of the team, all team members, answer the Freedom Colonies Project at gmail.com, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can to support you. Other comments or questions about what been presented? And if something comes up later, that's perfectly all right too. Christian, are we getting other questions?
There is one question here about Freedom Colonies in West Texas. Specifically, were there any Freedom Colonies in West Texas or Southern New Mexico that we know about?
Sure. So one thing to consider about where Freedom Colonies were located is they were often located either adjacent to where there were already concentrations of African Americans, which would have normally been in areas where there was planting cotton, transporting cotton and crops right before emancipation. That's before Juneteenth. So if we think about where those areas are, the majority of those areas are situated from Austin over eastward, whereas fewer of those type of landscapes are present to the west of Austin, which would then stand to reason you would have fewer African Americans and fewer African American settlements. However, the reason why we have volunteers and the reason why we crowdsource is there are several in some of these Western counties that we just don't know about yet. And that's why we're reaching out to you all to help support us being able to reach into private archives, relationships, travel, proximity to these areas so that you can access that material and help us fill in the gaps. That's the short answer. I'll hand it back over to you now, Natalie.
Hannah, I'm handing it over to you to talk about Freedom Colony research resources.
So specifically for the type of research that we're interested in, we really encourage you to upload materials that you might have access to, like your family histories or family reunion books, even church anniversary programs, and other resources that perhaps you don't necessarily easily have on hand, like news articles, obituaries, magazine articles, and cemetery maps. So in an effort to help you guys locate some of these resources that we're really interested in finding, if you click to the next slide, we have a page of research resources available for you guys. So what we've made available is the resource name and the direct link to that site, a description of what that site holds, and how this resource will help you verify the three different goals that we have, which is, does it exist? What is the name? What is the name of the community? And was there a community? What sort of African American association there was, and the location of said African American community. Now I'm actually going to share my screen really quick and show you guys how to find this page of resources on our website. 1 second. Okay. So if you go to the resources page and click on it, you'll see a bunch of really great resources available, but we're specifically interested in the Freedom Colony research resources. And if you click on the middle button, it takes it to a full screen. But you might be wondering how to access a downloadable version of this form, which is a really great question. I need to stop screen sharing real quick because I can't see the tabs at the top of my page. But if you go to the Get Involved tab and click on Adopt a County Program, which is down here at the very bottom, it will take you to a page that explains what the Adopt a County program that we've been talking about is, where you can sign up to volunteer, which is this red button here, the volunteer roles that we have available, which is on this right-hand bar. And in the left-hand column, we actually have a downloadable version of the resources page that I previously showed you guys. And I think we're going to pass it off to Jennifer, who's going to actually talk about how to use and access the atlas on our website.
Thank you so much, Hannah. I'm gonna go ahead and get to sharing screen here in just a second. Alrighty. Are you all able to see that? Good.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, good. So if you notice, one of the first major changes on our homepage is the study permissions and user agreements to our website. This pop-up window is just a condensed version of our existing user agreement that you can still access the full form on the website. And then once you click I agree, it'll guide you to our the Texas Freedom Colonies project guiding principles. And these are just our affirmation principles that we anchor our research in. And if you would like to see the full list and details of these guiding principles, you'll just access that on our website. And so to access the atlas, you'll hover over the atlas selection on the left hand of the website and click explore. And as you are all familiar with, and I'll just reiterate again, there are multiple ways that you can add information into the atlas. If you're a descendant, ideally you will take the Black Settlement Studies Survey. That's for descendants, current residents of Freedom Colonies, and folks who have extensive information about the community. However, we do emphasize the Storyteller Survey that everybody is welcome to complete. So that means if you're a descendant, you're welcome to complete it. If you're a volunteer or a stakeholder or someone who greatly contributes to preserving the history and knowledge of a Freedom Colony settlement, you're encouraged to fill out this survey. And with the Storyteller Survey, we want to know the name of the Freedom Colony, its location in terms of county, location to the nearest major city, and then really get into the story of that settlement. So what information do you know about the family's names, the history of the community, what traditions do they currently practice or did practice, and the name of any existing anchor sites, that being churches, cemeteries, and school names. And then if you have any resources, you're strongly encouraged to share that as well, whether it be newspaper clippings, Freedom Colony organizations, books, articles, maps, historical maps, anything like that. And I will stop sharing screen and pass the baton back to Natalie.
So with the few minutes we have left, we'd like to share with you the ways that you can get involved and stay involved with us and spreading the word about the Texas Freedom Colonies Project. For those of you on this call, you may be Adopt County volunteers, but if you're not yet and you're intrigued, please sign up for the Adopt County Volunteer Program. If you are a volunteer but you don't yet have an intranet login, please email us. We'll get you set up. If you'd like to sign up for our monthly newsletter, we encourage you all to do that. That's where we'll share a lot of our latest news about new tutorial videos, more research resources, information, and hopefully some great victory stories about exciting research that you all have been able to do, as well as our Facebook and Instagram if you're a social media user. A great way to get the word out about us is to share about the Texas Freedom Colonies Project with a friend. Share our website, share the atlas, tell a friend about us. And a way that you could tell a lot of friends about us is to request a red envelope. Dr. Roberts, would you like to talk about those?
Sure, I'd love to talk about those. So when we talk about Juneteenth, one of the things that we think about when we celebrate the holiday is the color red. And we think about the color red because one of the drinks we enjoy is Big Red, or red soda water, as we say in Texas. And so our red envelopes celebrate Juneteenth, and they help you celebrate Juneteenth by providing materials you can share with the public. So we include about 10 note cards, maybe 10 stickers, copies of surveys, and a booklet or two about saving Texas Freedom Colonies. We encourage you to then take the surveys, make copies of them. A lot of people like a physical paper survey, so you can scan them and email them, or we will include a stamped envelope for you. If you conduct some interviews and you want to stick them in that stamped envelope and mail it back to us. So we will have that inside the red envelope that we send out to you. So I encourage you to request that. If you have a giant event, we'll see what we can do, because we, believe it or not, don't have an endless supply of note cards and promotional materials, but we do want to provide you with as many as we can. So if you contact us by email, say, I want a red envelope, please let us know if you're going to have a large event, and we'll see how we can best accommodate you with the supply that we have. I also want to hand it over to Valentina at this time, if she wants to share something briefly about Juneteenth holiday, our Juneteenth list. Valentina?
Hi, Dr. Roberts. Hi, everyone. So in terms of Juneteenth, just want to let you all know that when putting together a list of events to assist online and those that will transition or that are going to be face-to-face. So please be on the lookout for on our newsletter and on our Facebook and our Instagram, where we will be sharing these events.
So we need you to send events to us, and then we put them in a document so that we can share them with the world. It's a way for us to help you promote your Juneteenth event. So if you'll look in the chat, you will see the email address and also the running kind of list and announcement, because we want to promote you and your Juneteenth event. Natalie?
So we are going to have more tutorial videos, both about the intranet and about how to use the Atlas, coming available in the coming weeks. If you subscribe to YouTube channels, please subscribe to ours. You can also find out more about what's coming out through our newsletter and on social media. And I'll open the floor for any remaining questions that you all might have about the Texas Freedom Colonies Project.
And we can also have a really nice discussion as well. When we get to the 7 o'clock mark, I want to make sure I'm available for at least the next 15 minutes for questions and chat. Once we get to 7 o'clock, we'll end the recording, and then we'll just kind of have a nice casual discussion thereafter. But if you have questions that are related to what we've been talking about today, using any of our resources, please let us know. Natalie, did you want to point out any of the resources on the resource list? Not to put you on the spot, but you did help put that together, and I think it'd be worth pointing out one or two of them.
Can you all see the Adopt a County page?
Yes.
Okay, great. So if you want to download a copy with clickable links, you can do that. And I'll use the first one on the list, which is the Portal to Texas History. Hopefully you all are familiar with this. The opening, there we go. So this is one that I'm a big fan of. You can find a lot of great newspaper clippings in here. It's quite extensive. I believe there may be YouTube tutorials about how to use this resource, but it's quite comprehensive for resources across Texas. So if you're looking for a freedom colony, you could try, I'm going to try Cox's Providence in Milam County, which gets spelled a few different ways. And I'll put quotations around it so that the words are going together. And just hit search. So it comes up with 35 matching results. That's not too many. But what if you're looking for a place that has a pretty common name? Let's try Antioch. There's several Antiochs. So here we have photographs. There's probably going to be newspaper results. There's lots of different kinds of results. So if you're looking for a specific kind of result, you can look for resource types. For newspapers, you can look for maps. You can look for photographs. But what if you come up with newspapers and you have 29,000 matching results? But oh no, I'm just looking for Antioch, the one in Hayes County. Well, you can narrow it down by county. And once you start typing, it will show the results. And once you click on it, it'll bring you up some results. Now, here's the thing that I really love about it and why optical character recognition is great. Once you click on the resource, you think, oh, do I have to read this entire issue of a newspaper with teeny tiny print? Nope. Go on down to search, and it shows you a little excerpt of where it appears. Now, is this about Antioch, the colony? Unsure, but you can see a highlighted area where it tells you more about it. This does not appear to be related to Antioch colony, but that's how you would say, oh, okay, I looked at this one. It's not what I'm looking for. I'm going to move on to the next result. And once you go back, it'll show a little check mark saying that you already looked at this. So if it shows up in another search result, you'll see that check mark and know that you found something. So that's one of the resources that I enjoy. Let's return back to it. Oh, I'll also say, if you're looking at it from this page and you go to full screen mode, there's a little download caret up here where it will save onto your computer. But if you don't want to bother downloading it, you can just mouse over it and find the links that way. Now, please be aware there's more than one page. We have many different kinds of resources, and each one, we've put a check mark next to the information that you're most likely to find. So you're thinking, oh, I have a place, but I don't really have a location. Maybe you'd like to look at Find a Grave. If you know there's a cemetery in a place, Find a Grave entries have latitude, longitude coordinates in them. Now, I have to be honest with you, I don't tend to use Find a Grave as the search engine itself, but if I'm looking for a place, I'll just use Find a Grave in Google, and the result will come up. So, there's 2 Texas ones, but maybe this is what I'm looking for. Sometimes there's information here that will tell you something important. Sometimes there's nothing entered here whatsoever. Occasionally there's a photograph, occasionally there's not. But I have yet to find something in Find a Grave that doesn't have a location. So if you go to this little map tab here, you can even find some GPS coordinates. If you're going to search for that in Google, you might be able to find a map and be able to verify that location by looking at the layers. Does this look like a cemetery? Sometimes it's pretty obvious what you're looking at. Sometimes it's less so in cases with a lot of tree cover, but I always encourage the use of aerial views to take a second look at things just to make sure that a marker has gone in the right spot. So that's a couple of resources on the resource list that I like to use, but you can really explore and enjoy all of these to find out more information about freedom colonies. Dr. Roberts, you're much more advanced in this than I am. Do you have anything you'd like to share about it?
No, I think, the way that you went about using Find a Grave and the way that you demonstrated your thinking, your thought process is important as just knowing about the resource. Sometimes it's very, some of these sites are more intuitive than others, right? And some of them are a little clunky and some of them are incomplete. But what I would say is that you want to try everyone and really use those quotation marks. If you're looking at working in a big search engine, note that you use the quotation marks. And what that does is it narrows it down, the number of responses you're going to get. So really, really use those. I do want to show the family search one if we can, because they are linking up to a lot of our materials. You'll see some of what they have listed as Freedmen towns. They have listed a few down toward the end of the page. So you'll see some of those. And if you scroll down a little bit more, you'll see, let's see, they have a few of them for individual sites listed there, but then they also have a lot of other resources related to African American communities and sites. Some of you may be really interested in Black churches. Some of you are interested in Black schools. Some of you are interested in Black cemeteries, Black lodges. That is all wonderful. And we support that because we support preserving African American historic structures. We are also excited about all those structures to the extent they also help us understand a larger place. So whenever you're doing this research, you may come in at a lot of different angles. So you may first say, here's the name of a settlement. You don't find any name of the settlement, but you do find the name of the settlement as the name of a church. So a lot of this is, my point is, a lot of this is detective work. A lot of this is not an obvious answer, and it may not be, recorded the way you think. But all of these different categories you see listed here, the cemeteries, the churches, the census records, it's really an exercise in patience. And if you could pull up the sheet again, because I really want to emphasize something about the resource sheet and the way we organized it. If you look at the resource sheet, you'll see those 3 columns. And so if you are looking for a particular type of place and you already know the location, but you can't exactly verify that it's African American, meaning there's more than one community in that county with the same name. Or you can't exactly tell that, where the church might have been located, or if the cemetery, where it was located, or if the school was used by multiple communities, what have you. And we tried to make this list or organize it in such a way that if you were having trouble with a particular category, like being able to say it's Black or being able to associate it with a particular location, that you could match up the type of resource with trying to address that gap in information. And the other thing we want to encourage is for you to understand that while we have that list of counties that are important to us, every story, every place in every county is important. So if you see a community and it already has a story, add another one, add pictures, add your dimension. So we are really really want to make it clear that you are valuable to us. All of your knowledge is valuable to us. And while we have the priority counties, we are interested in all of the information. And I'm noticing in our chat that there are representatives from the LDS who work with Family Search, who are interested in a number of counties. And so that's fantastic. What we'd like you to do is to join our Adopt a County program. Everybody who wants to help us, who wants to grow our research, does it through our Adopt a County program. So if you could contact us and we could get you all registered for that, you could learn more about how you can contribute to that. Natalie, you want to say anything more about that? When they contact you or contact our email, they'll get a user agreement, a login. You want to talk about that?
There is, if someone's interested in joining Adopt a County, please visit our Adopt a County page on our website. There's a form there you can fill out to give us some more information about you, the county or counties that you're interested in, how we can get in touch with you. We'll follow up with you and send a copy of our user agreement. You don't have to get on the intranet to be an Adopt a County volunteer, but it's a fantastic resource we have available for you to organize your work as Ben demonstrated. We can get you set up with a login, and you can go from there. If anyone ever has a question, like they're not sure where to start, we can give you a list of places, counties that need more research that are in your region, perhaps that you're interested in. You can go to the Atlas dashboard, as Jennifer demonstrated, to see which settlements in your county still need more information. Even for places that are located, sometimes we don't have a lot of information yet shared in the Atlas with us, and we welcome all information. But feel free to contact us. You can also call or text us if that's how you prefer to reach out.
Just to be clear, if you're wondering how can you help, the way you can help is to do the following. Become part of Adopt a County, go directly to the Atlas, take a look at where there are individual communities where we are still looking for information. Select the Storyteller tab. Input the missing information in the Storyteller tab, upload associated materials, and submit. We love to share interesting stories and materials every month in our newsletter. We feature a community every month, and it could possibly be you and your community or whatever you shared about a community. So that's how you make a difference. That's how you help us advance Texas Freedom Colonies Project. Natalie, do you want to make any more announcements or maybe wrap us up here?
Sure. Yeah, I'll just end with a plug for, please send us Juneteenth events, especially if they have posters. Please consider requesting a red envelope from us of materials if you're heading to a Juneteenth or you're running a Juneteenth event to share more information with us. And pretty soon, hopefully in the next couple weeks here, we're going to have a video tutorial about conducting oral history interviews. These gathering times might be a great time to conduct an interview with someone. And so we're going to have more resources coming available. Ben's going to be posting more videos about how to use the intranet. We're going to be sharing, refreshed videos about how to use the Atlas, some tutorials there for the basics. Look for more from us as we head into this transition period when we're going to be a little less available. So I encourage you, if you do have questions for us, please let us know over the next few months while we're at full steam.
Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. Please have a good evening. Thank you for making time. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.